The nun, Sister Eileen, the sexual pedophile who started abusing me when I was 15, was clearly 36 and had taken the vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. She stole from my body, my mind, and my soul. The woman was a thief who did not keep her vows.
It's you?
No, that's her. Sister Eileen Shaw, in my apartment.
Why is your principal and nun in your apartment?
On my bed. That was my bed.
This is a medal that has the date of her vows. She would take it off of herself at night and put it on me, and then we would have sex, not a relationship, sex. And then in the morning, it would go back on her. It was the seal of confessional or the seal of silence. It worked. I was silent for how many years?
We went every Sunday to church. I went to Catholic school. You know, nuns were my teachers from kindergarten on. So now I was accepted into Paramus Catholic, one of the girls' high schools. Sister Eileen, she would pick me up for the middle of the school day, take me to a motel. We'd stay in the hotel for hours, and then she'd bring me back to school. So I was there for dismissal. I mean, really, honestly, and her hand around my waist the way it is, let's be serious. This is not a hello, we're friend picture. Why didn't they stop her? Nobody questions a nun. I mean, a nun. Nobody challenged her. She owned me.
Abuse occurs in the dark. Abuse occurs when there is secrecy. The Catholic Church for years has been shrouded with secrecy. Abuse fosters in that sort of setting. What's fascinating about it is what happens in Camden, New Jersey is what happens in Santa Fe, New Mexico, what happens in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It's similar, if not close to identical, in every state in this country and across the world, really.
You asked me if I knew anyone else, and I said, yes, we all do. Well, why are they not coming out? Well, because the boys thought they were the only ones for 100 years. The girls think they're the only ones. They don't have any other survivors to see.
I was born in St. Louis, Missouri. My dad was a good Christian man, very into his church, very involved with his church always. Put all 5 kids through Catholic grade school. We all went to Catholic high schools. 7th grade, I met this nun, Sister Judith Fisher. And I remember I was in one of the front seats, I think 2nd row over, front seat. And she looked right down at me and smiled at me, and I thought, oh, you know, because I felt a little neglected at home, and I was teacher's pet a lot, which I hated, but still it felt good to be special. So she made some joke to me. I forget what it was, but like, we're going to be friends, or we're going to, you know, we're going to do well. And she was this redhead. She was funny. It was a different kind of energy. So we were told this would be our homeroom teacher the next year. And sure enough, it was Sister Judith Fisher. That's when my world changed. I was 13 years old. She was 37, 24 years my senior. You hurt a child that deep, it's a spiritual rape. And you are, like, branded for life. So from now on, it colors everything. This is a necklace that she gave me. It's got my name in cursive. And on the other side, it says 9/1971. That's when we met. I guess it literally, the sexual part started when I was 13 and ended when I was 19. When she had me spend the night at the convent down in that basement without somebody else, we got in our pajamas. I remember she pulled the shade that was on the door, And the next time I spent the night, she asked if I'd like to come over and sleep with her. And I think the next time I spent the night there, it was up in her bedroom. And that's when she asked if she could touch me. And it just became sexual all the time after that.
All she had to do to me was to be nice, because there was nobody that was nice to me. She cared like she wanted to be with me. I was 15. I mean, everything was in my favor. Here I'm hanging out with this really cool 36-year-old full habit nun. Everything was so manipulative. Oh, that's my brother Peter, and that's my sister Kate. And that's down at the Shore House. Sister Eileen Shore House. And I thought it was the kindest thing that she could possibly have done, to include my siblings. I think that's grooming. It was a pacifier for me. It worked very well. She became my mother. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. Now, looking back, she became my mother, but mothers don't sleep with their children.
Sister Judith had been getting real close with my mom, who was a substitute teacher and would come and help out in the principal's office. The principal was Sister Ruth. So my mom, she got close to Sister Ruth, and we became like a foursome. They'd come with my mom and watch swim practice from the car, and then we'd go for ice cream. Or we'd go to the ground round, or we'd go to Flaming Pit, or the Leather Bottle, or we were always just like waiting by the phone with the nun's call. And for the next couple of years, my mom, Sister Ruth, Sister Judith, and I did everything together. My mom didn't know anything that was going on. If we were sleeping in a room with 2 double beds, I'd sleep with my mom, Judy would sleep with Ruth, but Judy and I would arrange to sleep where the aisle was, and we'd hold hands across the cavity while they were sleeping. She always, always described it as God's love. This is God's love. Nobody else is going to understand it. My mom and dad found out when they found a Winnie the Pooh calendar, and I had put it underneath my mattress. It had things like, Judy kissed me, we made love, we had a fight, went to the convent again, and so that was their awakening to it. And knowing how attached and flattered my mom was, and she'd given up all her friends, I'd given up all my friends. Our life was these 2 nuns, to the point where my dad, I think, was even jealous. Then when they found the calendar, went to the Monsignor, all of a sudden everything had to stop. Nobody could know. He asked my dad not to bring scandal to his parish, and my dad did everything for that parish. So he kept quiet, and he believed that they would fix it and reprimand her, and that there was no need to go to the police. The push was for me to stop being involved with the nun, and my push was to fight against that. I started lying just so that I could have alibis so that I could go meet her. There's just lots of little cards and things. Here's one, starts with Dear Brat. She called me Twerp, she called me Pooh Bear. Just all these little pet names. Dear Brat, for the book, thank you. For being you, thank you. Love, S.J. Well, hearing love from a nun, and it didn't say Sister Judith, it was S.J. Wow. Nuns kind of get a free ride. You think of women as being nurturing, and you trust them more. And when it's done gently and sweetly, and they paint it to be to your benefit, you believe it. It's a true form of brainwashing. I have to believe that, because how else could I have been so blinded? It ruined my high school years. I was no longer involved in things that I thought my parents were against me and my family. No, it went on till I was 19. And I tried a couple times to kill myself, once in high school, once in college. I was in my early 40s, and I was seeing a therapist, and she tried to tell me it was abuse, and I would defend Judy. I said, no, 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 she loved me. And before I left the office, she said, Anne, a rose is a rose is a rose. A pedophile is a pedophile is a pedophile. And I left her office that day thinking, oh my God, could it be that it really was abuse? And That was the first time. And geez, I was 40-something, 41, 42. Sucks.
My uncle got me, I was about 5.
What do you mean he got you?
The first time he touched me, I was a little kid. I was a really little kid. And while I was sitting on his lap, his fingers were rolling around underneath my skirt, my dress. It was a dress. I did not want to be any place near him. I was afraid of him.
So how long did this abuse?
From 5 years old to 13 years old. I joined a 12-step recovery group. I thought I was there to get better from alcoholism, and I was an alcoholic because my uncle had raped me in a confessional. I didn't think I was an alcoholic because of her. And yet she was the first person that gave me alcohol and drugs, continually. Oh yeah, I protected Eileen. I didn't talk about her in group. I didn't talk about her on a one-on-one. I didn't talk about it. My sponsors, they were the first ones that said, this is not a relationship. And I thought they were crazy. She told me she loved me. She bought me presents. She took me all over, alone, camping, sleeping in the same sleeping bag. They said, that's not a relationship. That's sex. And I'm like, it's a relationship, you know? No, it wasn't a relationship.
That psychological manipulation, which is an additional burden to sort of sort out, because the psychological gets mixed in with the sex abuse, and is this love, is this manipulation, is this what happened to me? And oftentimes what we're seeing is only through that, adult, mature perspective do you then realize, hey, these people were taking advantage of me.
Well, and they've done case studies on that too.
Absolutely.
The professionals have looked at this, and the average age for someone who comes forward is early 50s. Mm-hmm. So it's not even, I won't even call it a phenomenon, it's what happens with abuse victims.
By the time Trish got her life together in the 90s to realize that what had happened to her over the past almost 20 years was abuse and exploitation, she was way outside the statute of limitations in the state of New Jersey. There was no lawsuit. There was no option for Trish. The laws in the United States historically have been very limited in terms of allowing claims past age 18, which is adulthood. Most victims not realizing till they're 50 the implications of the abuse in their life. By then, there's no remedy available to them. And we're talking statutes of limitation of 3 years, 5 years, 8 years. That only takes you to 26. If the average age is 51, 53, 55, even by the most liberal statutes of limitation, you're way beyond any opportunity to seek any meaningful relief.
So if mine started at 13, by the time I'm 20, 25, I can't do anything about it. And they can be in another state and get out of that state before that expires. Worst comes to worst, if they get proven, they're defrocked. Poor babies. Then what? They're set up in retirement systems that are wonderful. They play pool. They're usually right next to a schoolyard. And it's been going on for over 300 years. And the Vatican has it all, and it's documented. And they're more powerful than our government. They don't have to open their files. I was one of the few victims that had lots of evidence, years and years of letters, notes, tapes, videos, jewelry, trips, receipts, books, all sorts of things. So I had proof. And what'd she do? She denied it all. And before she was deposed, she up and died. I wished that I could get some answers, that we could talk about it, that she could come clean. It wasn't the money I was after. It was just some closure. I think I feel strong enough to tell my story right now because there's not a lot to lose. I am who I am. People who love me for all my flaws. I can't imagine something happened to me in life that would hurt me like this has. So I think I've reached that pinnacle. If I should die tomorrow, I'd be sad if I had not spoken when I could have. If there's some kid or parent that would hear me, because it's real. And it's the kind of wound that stays, no matter how strong you are, no matter how much therapy you get, no matter how many loves you have, or diversions or excuses. It's a spiritual rape. It really is. It really is. It doesn't go away. It steals your faith. I envy people who have faith.
That's what's important about statutory reform. When the statute's bad, the Catholic Church gets to dictate the terms. 2 touches is worth X, and you have to settle ultimately because your case may be thrown out of court. When the abuse survivor holds the power, they can say, I have a story, I've been damaged, and I get to tell it to 12 of my peers who can decide what the Catholic Church did and how I've been damaged.
Are you okay if I read the response to you?
Yes, I'm here for that.
In 1994, the leadership of the Sisters of Charity of St. Elizabeth removed her from ministry and referred the situation to the congregation's response team for investigation. The response team engaged in a detailed investigation and substantiated the sisters' improper conduct. Following the settlement, and for the past 25 years, Sister Eileen Shaw has been subject to a program of restrictions and therapy, including removal from ministry, as well as being unable to work with individuals under 21 years of age. She accepts responsibility for her actions and the harm that they have caused. She continues to pray daily about this.
I don't want her prayers. She took my life, she took my sexuality, she took my spirituality, she ruined any boundaries that I ever had in my life. I lost my family over her. I'm in recovery now. Since 1994, I've been stumbling with this, and she's got lifetime therapy because she's a sexual pervert? There's something wrong with this.
I've spent so much of my life trying to heal, whether it's in art or music or, thinking I can draw, I can't draw. It just anything to get out of myself. I feel like I'm in a hole. Yet I can see the friggin' blue sky, but I can't get up. I feel like I'm doing that right now with my life. Why does she get to live on the blue sky, the pink cloud, and I'm in the dungeon? I never hurt anybody.